Hello and welcome back to my channel. My name is Anu Joshi and I'm a real estate broker and mortgage agent serving the Greater Toronto area. On today's video, I'm going to talk about the New to Canada Homebuyers Program. Essentially, in Canada, as a new Canadian, as a PR or as a citizen, you are going to be able to purchase a home. Basically, permanent residents are treated fairly similar to Canadian citizens in terms of the mortgage approvals process. There are not additional qualifications or anything that you have to go through, but one of the biggest things that you have to be aware of is that as a PR, if you are less than 3 years in the country, you are, from the lender's standpoint, from the majority of lenders, you are going to be considered as a new to country buyer. And even though you have great standing, so permanent resident standing in Canada, what often happens is when you're 3 years or newer in a country, your credit file is quite thin. Now, from my video on, the 3 pillars that your mortgage approval is based on, that one of the most important pillars is your credit score and your credit report. So within 3 years of being in the country, in Canada, you can have a fantastic credit score. However, your overall file will be quite thin. Even if, the day or the week that you land, you get a credit card, and then the following month you get a second credit card and you have a car lease and all of that. Even if you have a healthy number of accounts and you're paying them off and building your credit, you can have a fantastic score, but when the lender is looking at your file, because it's 3 years or less of credit history on the various accounts, it is going to be considered thin. And so what happens is when we're doing a new to Canada mortgage application, sometimes what the lender asks for is additional payment proof or additional payment history. So this can be done a number of ways. The most common two are either one, we provide a supplementary credit report from your previous country. So let's say you're immigrating from the United States or from India or from the United Kingdom. Basically, in addition to your Canadian credit report, your local one here, we would also supply your international credit report. Now, companies like Equifax, for example, do have, a US counterpart, Equifax.com, whereby we can pull, or the lender can pull, your American credit report or obtain it in another way, so that they can see your payment history from your previous country, which presumably would be more than 3 years of history. And that credit report, the international one, plus your Canadian credit report, which is less than 3 years old, these two in combination get submitted into your mortgage applications. So as long as there's no red flags on your international credit report and your Canadian credit report is also good, but just thin, we should be good to proceed for your mortgage. The other way to supplement your short or less than 3 years old credit report in Canada is to provide additional payment history. For example, if you have a Netflix bill, right? This is just an example. But if you have a Netflix bill and you got Netflix 2.5 years ago, and every month you've been paying it off, consistently, nothing's been late or anything like that, we provide those bills or that payment history, the record that you've been paying it consistently. And we provide that. We may also provide your cell phone bills or your home internet bills, any sort of bill that is a recurring payment and you've been making it on time for an extended period of time. That may or may not show up on your credit report. For example, if you have home internet or if you have a cell phone bill, those things don't actually show up on your credit report all the time as accounts. Right? If you've been renting, right? This is your first purchase. So before this, you were renting. If we can get a letter or a document from your landlord saying that, yep, this individual has been paying rent consistently on time without fail every single month for, an extended period of time. So things like that actually help support your credit. These are the supplementary documents that we can provide to the lender so that they look at your credit score, which oftentimes is really, really great. But like I explained, it's a thin credit file. So we add the supplementary information into your mortgage application. And most people have it, right? You have a cell phone bill, you have a internet bill, you are paying rent somewhere, and all of that. So we provide that with the credit report and we submit that to the lender. And in most cases, that is also fine. One other topic that I wanted to touch on today in terms of new Canadians is if you're not yet on PR. right? If you're new to the country and you're on a student permit, or if you're on a work permit, or if you have a tourist visa or anything like that, or even if you're not in the country, right? Not in the country altogether, you would be considered under all of these circumstances, anything except PR and citizen. So anything except those two, you would be considered a foreign buyer if you plan to purchase property in Canada. Now, I can speak specifically to Ontario. There is something called a non-resident speculation tax, which is applicable in the context of Ontario within the Golden Horseshoe. So this is the greater Toronto and Hamilton areas, and it goes, as far as, I believe, Waterloo region and all of that, not including Windsor and London. I'll put the link down below to the government program so you can read up on that program. Basically, if you're not a PR and not a citizen and planning to purchase property within the designated area, you would also have to pay an additional 15% non-resident speculation tax, the NRST. The non-resident speculation tax is a 15% tax, and that's accurate as of the date of me making this video. It's a 15% tax that is payable straight out of pocket upon closing to the government, and they take this basically to prevent foreign investors and foreign ownership of properties within the Golden Horseshoe. So this was brought into effect to basically discourage foreign ownership and to allow local buyers and Canadian PRs and Canadian citizens to be able to purchase property without having to pay that sort of premium. So if you are on a work permit, or if you're on a student permit, and if you're here and you're thinking about purchasing a home, keep in mind that if you're not yet a PR and not yet a citizen, you may be subject to the non-resident speculation tax. There's also a spousal exception. So let's say you're married to a Canadian PR or a Canadian citizen, you do get an exception, but that would have to be confirmed through a real estate lawyer or through a tax lawyer or something of the sort. So I'll put the resources down below for you guys to read up on it. And if you have any questions, if you are new to the country, if you're less than 3 years old, less than 4 years old in the country, and if you have questions about purchasing a property, send me a DM. I will put all of my details in the description box below so you can reach out and ask me any questions that you guys have. Thank you so much for watching this video. Make sure you subscribe if you thought this was helpful. Hit the like button, and I'll see you guys in the next one.